What's up everyone, I am back with another GPU pricing update for March 2022, and I have good news. Actually, some of the best news that we've had in the past year and a half to 2 years, since GPU prices have been so abysmally bad, since demand has been so high and supply has been so low. I'm gonna go over some of the contributing factors affecting supply and pricing right now, and of course I have updated my spreadsheet, which is very data dense, and by popular demand, it is now also linked in the description.
Excellent!
So here's my spreadsheet, and like I said, it's linked in the description on Google Docs if you want to browse around it at your leisure. I've added a few more columns this time, so I'm going to be going over what means what. But the real quick, high-level good news is that since January, prices are now down on average about 23% if I'm looking at these current-gen NVIDIA cards. And just since February, just since last month, we're down another good 25 to 30%. So to quickly address, just kind of on the theoretical level, why prices are continuing to go down right now, I wanted to talk to you guys about, well, supply and demand, the basics of economics. And supply was severely affected about a year and a half to 2 years ago because of the COVID pandemic, which also happened to coincide with a resurgence in cryptocurrency mining, specifically Ethereum mining, and how profitable that was when mining with a graphics card. So in the past, way back in the day when discrete graphics cards were just starting to become a thing, there's basically one audience for a gaming GPU, and that was people who were going to play video games. The market grew based on selling graphics cards to people who were going to use them for 3D acceleration. And while yes, there were also workstation graphics cards at the time, those markets were generally split, and if you needed a workstation GPU, you would typically go for that, and if you wanted to play games, you would typically go for a gaming graphics card. And then cryptocurrency came along, starting with Bitcoin and then later on with Ethereum. That created a new market for graphics cards. People weren't buying them just to play video games, they were buying them to make money. So then you had two groups of people who might buy a graphics card. People who would buy them to play video games, people who would buy them for cryptocurrency mining. And in particular with crypto mining, the market was a little bit different. If you were buying a graphics card to play video games with, chances are you're only going to buy one. And okay, yes, back when Crossfire and SLI were more popular, you might go with 2 or maybe even 3. But after that, your GPU needs were met. As a gamer, you had no need to buy any more graphics cards. With cryptocurrency mining, you buy a graphics card because you're going to mine with it. That's going to have a hash rate that's going to output a certain dollar amount per day. But from there, people's tendency was often to scale up, because if I have one GPU mining that's making me $5 a day, then I could maybe have 2 GPUs making me $10 a day, or 4 making me 20, or whatever number of GPUs you can fit in the space that you have and run with the electricity available to make as much money as possible. And in my opinion, that had a significant impact on the supply and demand situation with graphics cards in particular. But then when the pandemic hit, production started to scale back, and then you had a true shortage situation, and then you had a third type of buyer jumping in. Those are the scalpers. We generally don't approve of scalpers around here, even though they're just trying to do what a lot of people do, which is to buy something and then sell it for a little bit more money. But a scalper doesn't need to be a gamer, they don't even need to be a cryptocurrency miner, they don't even necessarily need to know what a GPU is, what it does, or how it works. All they need to know is that the street price of this thing is $2,000, and the price I can maybe buy it for if I wait in line overnight at Best Buy is $800 or $1,000. So the prospect of scalping brings a whole other group of people into the market, but I think what's happening now is that scalper market in particular is drying up, and that's having a knock-on effect that's causing GPU prices to continue to drop even more than they did last month or the month before. So if we jump back over to my spreadsheet, let me just explain to you guys how this is laid out. All the GPUs are on the left. We have a set of NVIDIA graphics cards, starting with the newest ones, the 3000 series at the top. I threw in a handful of 20 series and 16 series there as well. And then beneath that you have current gen AMD cards, as well as a few 5000 series GPUs too. This column here is the street price from January 2022, and that is what most of the percentage comparisons are based off of. And sort of the goal for this little series, which I'm hoping doesn't go too long into this year, is to show where we've come from the start of the year, from January 2022. And again, these are street prices, so this represents the best price that you could somewhat consistently buy a 3080 Ti or whatever GPU you're talking about for back in January. And you can see here, if you compare that to the MSRP, it's a decent markup. Bear in mind that the 3080 Ti came out after the shortage, which is why it has a $1,200 MSRP, which is a lot more marked up than a lot of the other 30 series GPUs that launched earlier. So that one has the lowest comparative markup at an additional 60% over MSRP. Everything else was between about 75 and 130% marked up. But then you have this next column. This is the retail prices we went over last month from February 2022, and this purple highlighted one is March 2022. So this is all the new data data that has just been hunted down by me. So this is the price for a new card that you can buy without having to wait in line or put yourself in a queue or buy a combo deal. These are just the prices that you could go to a place like Newegg or Amazon and put it in your cart and buy it. We then have the comparison columns right here. So looking at the current retail price, how much is that down from the January street price? Or how much is that down from the February retail price? Or how much is it down now from the MSRP? And you can see, for instance, like a 3090 used to be about 77% over MSRP, and now it's about 43% over MSRP. That's better. That's still a decent markup for sure. And I don't want to try to pretend like I'm not acknowledging any of this. These cards all still pretty much cost well over MSRP, but we're hoping they get a lot closer, and they're moving in that direction. So yes, this column is the March number versus the January number. This column is the March number versus the February number. So just as an example, the 3090 you can buy at retail for $2140 right now. That is down 19.25% from the January price of $2,650. That is also down an additional 14.4% from the February retail price of $2,500. So this column right here is just the change in the last month. And then if we scroll over, these are the current street prices as taken from eBay's completed listings. And here again, we have the street price from last month in February, the updated street price for March, how much better this March price is compared to the January price, and how much better this March price is compared to the February price. And then also included the comparison versus MSRP. And then I added one extra column for this, which is the current street price versus the current retail price. Because while you'd often expect to pay a little bit less for something you're buying on a secondary site like eBay, that is not always the case. And that's part of the reason why I talked about scalpers right at the beginning of this, and how I don't think scalpers are doing as well as they used to do. And as a result, I don't think scalpers are scooping up new inventory with quite as much gusto as they used to, which results in more inventory on the shelves, which results on prices continuing to come down. So now let's go over each card just to show you guys an example of the current best price I was able to find. And when I talk about best price, first off, for retail pricing, I'm using PCPartPicker. That's linked in the description. Very useful website for parting out a build, so I highly recommend it. But note in the price column, I'm just sorting by lowest over here. Prices go up, but I'm focused on what generally speaking, the lowest price is. Because if you can buy an MSI Ventus 3X OC RTX 3090 for just over $2,000, why would anyone in their right mind pay an extra $400 for that? No slight manufacturer overclock or slightly better built cooling solution is worth $400. So all these higher prices here are just dumb, and nobody should buy any of them at those prices. But one other thing to note is that not everything is available at the price that's listed here. So like this MSI card should be available for about $2,020, but it is out of stock. That's why my retail price here isn't $2,020, it's $2,140. This Gigabyte RTX 3090 Gaming OC24G is available, sold by Newegg, shipped by Newegg. You can add it to cart right there. And it's $2,130, and I guess $10 shipping makes it $2,140. So that's a little bit of an explanation of my methodology, but also just to point out, someone was selling this MSI Ventus 3X OC GPU for, I guess I should say Newegg was selling this for $2,020. Yes, they sold out because that's one of the best prices at retail for an RTX 3090 right now. But it just goes to show that prices are continuing to drop. Cards are coming up for lower prices than even what I'm showing you guys today. But I, of course, am trying to split the gap between showing you guys stuff you can actually buy and showing you the best possible price. Honestly, the best prices is to get stuff right when it goes in stock. Some of those can be purchased near MSRP, but those typically fly off shelves really quickly. Moving on though to the 3080 Ti. I'm not going to keep showing the PCPartPicker list here, but just as an example, the Zotac one here is $1,400. This is also a really good example of why you should really reality check your pricing, because some units have dropped in price. Like this is a decent, the Gaming Trinity Zotac RTX 3080 Ti is a decent mid-range version of the 3080 Ti. Some stores are still listing it for close to $1,900, which might have been what it was selling for a month or 2 or 3 ago, but not so anymore. But hey, there it is, 3080 Ti, $1,400, add it to cart. And again, just to show the 20 to 30% difference we're seeing in pricing, the 3090 is down 19.25% compared to the January price of $2,650, and it's down another 14.4% compared to the February price of $2,500. Likewise, that $1,400 3080 Ti is down about 26% compared to the $1,900 that it used to sell for. Next is the 3080, used to sell for $1,625. Retail was $1,900, actually went up a bit last month. It is now down to $1,230, down 24.31% since January, or 35% from February to March. Although yes, it is still 75% over MSRP, but let's be real, the 3080's MSRP of $700 was like it was the best one when the 30 series first came out, and we're all very sad that it never actually really realistically sold for that much. But there you have it, an RTX 3080, the 10 gig model. They do come in the 12 gig variant as well, but I found those to be pretty overpriced too, and this one's $1,230 at Amazon. Only 5 left, but don't worry, they're still making more of these. 3070 Ti supposed to retail for $600. Street price was $1,225. In February last month, it was $1,110, now down to $830. Down 32% from the January street price and down 25% just since last month. And there it is over at Newegg, your MSI Gaming 3070 Ti for $820 plus $10 shipping. The RTX 3070 also would have been a hot commodity for $500, the original price. Street price in January was over $1,000. It went up at retail in February to closer to $1,200. It's back down to $875, about 19% down from January and about 27% down just from last month, although it still is 75% over MSRP. Do note that there are LHR and non-LHR versions of the RTX 3070. Assuming you're not planning to mine with these cards, I mean, maybe you are. If you are planning to mine, then don't get an LHR card, I guess. But if you are not planning on mining at all, go for the LHR cards because those will typically sell for a little bit less. Here's one for $872.12 over on Amazon. Next, the 3060 Ti, which is supposed to retail for $400. Street price was $935 in January, all the way up to $1,390 in February, back down to $700. That's what a 3080 should cost, but it's still down 25% since January and down 50% just from last month. Although again, yes, 75% markup over MSRP still. But again, there it is, a Zotac Twin Edge OC for $700, sold and shipped by Newegg. Next is the 3060, which should retail for $330. In January, it was $700. In February, it was $740. Now it's down to $600. That's about 14.3% down from January and about 19% down from last month. Still an 82% markup, but there it is, shipped from and sold by Amazon for $600. And again, that's the Zotac Twin Edge OC variant. And then there's the 3050, a card that would probably be a pretty decent buy at $250. It was $500, then it was $540. Now it's down to $390, 22% down from January and 28% down since last month. Still a 56% markup over MSRP, but $390 versus $250. That's a lot better than $540. And here's an example, the MSI Ventus RTX 3050 8 gig for $390 over on Newegg. For the NVIDIA RTX 20 series and GTX 16 series, some of these cards you can't really buy at retail anymore, so some of these are left blank. But I pulled up the RTX 2080, the 2060 Super, and the 2060, which had MSRPs of $700, $400, and $350 respectively. In January, they were selling for $730, $650, and $500. And although you can't really get the RTX 2080 at retail right now, you can find a 2060 Super for $710. I would probably opt for a 3060 Ti over that card, but it is what it is. And there is the 2060 Super. It's the MSI Ventus version for $710 over on Newegg. And then the RTX 2060, I found one for $480. This one's over on Amazon, again, $480. And the market for slightly older cards is also going to be a little bit different than the market for newer cards like the 30 series, simply because there's not as much new stock of these cards coming in. So even though prices were pretty high for these and they have come down a bit, they might still stay high because that's just kind of what happens with slightly old PC hardware that's still not completely out of date, but might still have some inventory lying around. The prices won't bottom out completely because some retailers will hold on to a small amount of this stock, simply because I think there's a class of customer who is like, I want an RTX 2060, and they don't care about anything else, and they don't care that there's newer cards or anything, so they can still get higher prices for some of those. But again, for $480, I'd probably opt for, I don't know, maybe an RTX 3060. It's a little bit more. Or hey, a 6600 XT over on the AMD side. Here it is yet again though, the Asus, what is this? It's just OC. It's the Dual, because it has two fans. $480. And then for the 1660 Ti and 1660, which had MSRPs of $280 and $220, street price was $445 and $375 in January. That again went up in February and dropped down in March, but didn't drop down as much as in January. So the prices are still higher than they were in January, still well above MSRP, and these are just cards that might be compelling if they're more reasonably priced, but I would not currently recommend a 16 series card for $400 to $500. for that, again, I would opt for something from the RX 6000 series, like the 6600 or 6600 XT. Okay, speaking of AMD, let's run down this list real quick. The 6900 XT retailed for $1,000 MSRP. In January, it was $1,530. February, it was $1,500. Has dropped $200 down to $1,300. That's 15% down from January. Another 13.3% down just since last month. Still a 30% markup over MSRP, but given that this card often goes toe-to-toe with like the 3090 and the 3080 Ti, which are still priced decently above that, the 6900 XT is still kind of in this weird pocket of somewhat of a bang for the buck, even though it's a $1,300 graphics card, as represented in my build from a few months ago, where I built an entire 6900 XT based system for the same price that RTX 3090s were selling for at the time. And here's a listing on Newegg for a $1,300. Actually, it's $1,250 if you count the mail-in rebate, but maybe you do or maybe you don't count mail-in rebates. But there you go. The 6800 XT is next. That had a launch MSRP of $650. Street price was $1,350 in January. Stayed the same in February. Down another $200 to $1,100 in March. And I think the 6800 XT and 6800 are maintaining kind of higher prices because they have that 16 gig frame buffer. But here is a Sapphire Pulse 6800 XT for $1,130, but there's a $30 off instant promo code right there, so that brings it to $1,100. And here's an RX 6800 for $920, and both of those are shipped from and sold by Newegg. Moving down the list, 6700 XT had a launch MSRP of $480, was $870 in January, up to $890 in February, and is now down to $600 as of March. You can get the ASRock Radeon RX 6700 XT Challenger D for $600 straight up over at Newegg right now. That's 31% down from the January price and another 32% drop just from last month. I'd also like to point out that the remainder of these 6000 series cards are all 25% or less above MSRP. So still above MSRP, but 25% or less above MSRP is a lot better than it has been. All things being relative, of course. The 6600 XT should sell for $380. It was $650 in January, $600 in February, is down to $470 now. That's about 28% down from January and about 22% down just since last month. Here's an ASRock Challenger D over on Newegg for $470. Hey, you even get 1 month of Xbox Game Pass? Cool. I guess the sale is going to end, but you should be able to find them for about the same price. Also note that last month, my recommendation for anyone who is building a budget system was the RX 6600, which was selling for $480 at retail last month. You could find them for maybe $440 to $450. They are now down to $400, actually even less than $400. This ASRock dual, that's the Challenger D again. This is $396. So that is again down about 27% since January, another 17% or so since last month. And finally, we have the 6500 XT, which legitimately should not be a $200 card. It should probably retail for less than that. Even so, it was street priced for $270 in January, down a little bit in February to $260. We're now finding them for $225. This is still a card I would not recommend without some serious consideration because it's not good for streaming. It doesn't have video encoders. It's limited to 2 video outs. It's only got a PCIe 4.0 by 4 interface, so it's not a good card to plug into any system that's limited to PCI Express 3.0. But if you understand and accept all of those caveats, then $225 is one of the best prices we've seen for this card at retail, and that is only 12.5% above MSRP. I got some 5000 series cards here as well, but none of those are available at retail, so let's move on to the street pricing, where we talk about some eBay stuff. So to check eBay completed auctions, you can use the advanced search. I'm just doing keyword searches in computers and networking. I'm choosing to only look at sold listings, and thank you for the tip last month. Honestly, I should have realized this last month when I did it. I don't want completed listings, I want ones that actually sold. Also, for the cards that are new cards and not cards from a generation or two ago, I'm generally trying to find new ones, although I will often dip into open box options or otherwise if necessary. But of course, these are eBay auctions, so they're gonna vary a lot in terms of who's selling them, various prices, who is paying those prices. But if the price is listed in green, it means that the auction actually did end and was sold for this price. So for the 3070 Ti here, for example, I have a street price at $900. And that is because after I did this search and I started to look for cards that were ideally brand new or slightly used, I found them sold for, well, this one was $890 plus $25 shipping. This one is pre-owned, so used. This one was closer to $850 or so. You'll even find outliers that are significantly below the price that I listed, but then again, there are others that are above the price. So what I put in the spreadsheet, it was just my best deduction of sort of a generally really good low price that these cards have been selling for consistently, at least over the past few days. So with that explained, I'm just going to run down this list. The RTX 3090 street price is $1,900. That is down about $600 from the February street price of $2,500, and still selling for a decent chunk below retail. 3080 Ti is selling for around $1,400. That is about the same price that you can buy it for at retail right now. So for my money, I'd rather buy from a retailer than from a site like eBay. So if the comparison here between the current retail price and the sale price is the same, or especially if it's higher, then that's a good indication that, well, first of all, you as a buyer should probably be buying from retail and not even worrying about street pricing like they have on eBay. But it's also an indication that retail prices have been dropping so quickly that secondary sellers on places like eBay can't keep up with it. They generally have a longer turnaround time. They're not bringing items in bulk into big warehouses and then selling them as quickly as possible. So stuff like this is a big deterrent for scalpers because it puts a big question mark in their head. Is this even going to be worth my time to attempt to keep buying graphics cards and reselling them with market conditions being what they are? Continuing down the list though, the 3080 you can currently find for around $1,100 on the used market. And that's about 10% off of what you can buy it at retail, which is around $1,230 right now. 3070 Ti is going for $900, and I would not recommend paying that much for it on eBay because that is over what you can buy it for at a retailer. The 3070 you can find for around $750, and that is a decent 15%, 14 or 15% markdown from the retail pricing right now. The 3060 Ti is going for $650. Again, a slight discount from the retail market, but not too much. An RTX 3060 for $500 is actually a pretty reasonably compelling deal. Consider that that's down from the street price of $700 back in January. And yeah, the 3060 is a good card, and I hope the price continues to come down even more so. And then the best prices I found for the 3050 were around $400 on the eBay completed listings, and that again is above retail, so don't buy an RTX 3050 on eBay. The RTX 2080 is $550, that's down from $650 in February and a close to 25% reduction from its low price in January. The 2060 Super is $450, that's down from a February street price of $575 and over 30% down from its peak in January. And the RTX 2060 is $360, down from the February price of $450. And for both of these 2060s I looked at least, you're better off buying on the used market than buying at retail. Finally, for the 16 series, we have the 1660 Ti, available for around $350 if you're buying on eBay, and the street price in February was $400. The 1660 you can find for $260 versus the street price last month, which was $340. Finally, we have the AMD cards, and the 6900 XT you can find for $1150, a decent little markdown from what you can buy it at retail, and definitely down from the $1,500 price last month. The 6800 XT went from $1,275 in February down to $950 in March. The RX 6800 went from $1,000 in February down to $925 in March. Not a huge reduction, and in fact that's almost exactly the street price by about $5 off. Oh wait, this is supposed to be red. Fixed it. And yeah, the 6800 would be a better buy at retail. 6700 XT is down to $625, although look at this far right column over here. All of these prices are above or the same as MSRP. So this is a bad street price for a 6700 XT. Likewise, 530 is too high for a 6600 XT. 400 is now too high for an RX 6600, and 235 is definitely too much for a 6500 XT, especially if you're buying from some random person on eBay and not from a reseller who you should at least have some form of return policy with. I guess you can return stuff to people on eBay as well, but you know, it introduces potential complications. And again, here's a look at the 5000 series. The 5000 series is popular with cryptocurrency mining, so the pricing here has not come down too much either. $650 for the 5700 XT, $575 for the 5700, and $500 for the 5600 XT. And the 5600 XT price actually went up by a little over 5% since February. So don't buy the 5000 series right now. Go for the 6000 series. They're newer and faster and a little bit more efficient. But there you have it, guys. My rundown of current GPU pricing in March 2022. Such good news. I love all the green that we're seeing in these numbers. Of course, we're still above MSRP, so I'm not trying to tell everyone that these are the best bargain prices you'll ever see on these GPUs, but it is a trend that's continuing in the right direction. I'm really happy that we're seeing a lot more of the mid-range cards in like the $400 to $600 range become more accessible and not be like priced at $800 or $1,000 or more. And this makes me very optimistic as we move through the spring and into the summer, because whereas right now I think we're starting to see the scalper market drop off, I'm hoping that fingers crossed, the Ethereum merge will continue as planned. And if that goes through in June, or even like June, July, or August, then I think we'll start to see cryptocurrency miners start to dip out. And then I think we'll start to see the secondary market really heat up. So there's a lot to look forward to for PC gamers. And to celebrate, I'm going to be doing a new how to build a PC tutorial series in April, next month. That's pretty soon. So stick around and get subscribed if you're interested in seeing that. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to check out my store at paulshardware.net, where you can buy shirts, mugs, pint glasses, and all sorts of other high quality merchandise, which is a great way to help support my channel. That is all for this one though. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.